Rated I for inertia.
Hi, I'm Bowen Schullander. In-game name, Sturmageddon.
And I'm Sahil Gundari. They call me Centaurus.
We are here to show you about the physics of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, a game regularly about blowing up bombs. Instead, we will blow up your minds with science.
A stew,
a pinch of salt and laughter too,
a scoop of kids to add the spice.
Love to make it nice, and you got
too many cooks,
too many cooks,
too many cooks, too many cooks,
too many cooks,
too many cooks.
It takes a lot to make a stew.
When it comes to me and you,
and him and her and the baby.
To measure the value of gravity in CSGO, we first found the average time of the following 3 trials. Next, we measure the distance of the falls by counting the amount of blocks the character fell until it touched the ground. Note, we have already measured each block to be 16 in-game units. The amount of blocks that we counted was 16. This meant that the distance the character fell was 256 units. We then put these two values in the formula D equals VIT plus 1/2 AT squared. VIT was 0 because VI was 0, so VI cancelled out T. This gave us 256 equals 1/2 A 0.71 squared. 0.71 seconds was the average time previously calculated from the past 3 clips. After solving the equation, the value for acceleration was 1024 units per second squared, or 64 blocks per second squared. The value of gravity in Counter-Strike Global Offensive is 1024 in-game units per second squared. Mr. Dandrews might say, not so fast, the distance was negative. That's right, this makes gravity negative. Negative 1024 in-game units per second squared. Thanks, Mr. Dandrews. Using a community-made map with a grid for easier measurements, we were able to fill out the freefall table for a high explosive grenade throw. Since all grenades behave the same way, we only did this experiment with a high explosive or HE grenade. The horizontal acceleration for the grenade was 0 units per second squared, since it did not have any forces acting on it horizontally that would speed it up. The vertical acceleration, on the other hand, was negative 1024 units per second squared, since gravity was pulling down vertically on the grenade. The horizontal distance was measured by counting the amount of blocks the grenade traveled. This value was then multiplied by 16 to get the amount of units the grenade traveled horizontally. The vertical distance was negative 72 units, as the character's arm was positioned 72 units above the ground when he threw the grenade, as indicated by the map. This value is negative because the grenade landed on the ground, 72 units below the character. The time was calculated by measuring the amount of time it took from the point the character let go of the grenade to the time it touched the ground for the first bounce. This value was the same for horizontal and vertical time. The horizontal initial velocity was calculated by dividing the distance by the time. The final velocity was the same value because, right before the grenade hit the ground, it was traveling the same velocity as before. The same calculations were done for the vertical initial and final velocities. To find the initial vertical velocity, the vertical distance was divided by the time. The vertical final velocity was negative 63 meters per second because the grenade was going at the same speed as the initial velocity, just the opposite direction as the grenade was going downward. Jumping under these conditions is also altered. This is because having less gravity means less force being applied on the character's body. This would result in its body staying in the air longer due to less forces being pushed vertically down upon it by gravity.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. I see me running through that open door.
With the friction set to 0, objects and characters continue to move in a direction until blocked by something in its path, because of the lack of a force going against the direction they are traveling in. They will continue to travel in the same direction without any resistance due to, wait for it, inertia, as stated in Newton's first law.
Moving at speed of sound. They try we can hedgehog around. Got ourselves a situation, stuck in a new location without any explanation. No time for relaxation. Don't wait, don't think.
With 0 gravity, grenades move in a straight line. This is because there is no gravity, so the grenades move in the direction thrown. On Earth, gravity causes projectiles such as grenades to arc down and travel a shorter distance, and therefore appear slower than on a place with less gravity.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
We do what we must.
Oh, baby! Triple! Oh, yeah!
What?
And that's one of the things that makes Counter-Strike so great.